Gemara Meseches Yoma Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. How often do you have to check the mezuzahs? It depends if it's a private mezuzah or public mezuzah. Mezuzah shel yochid, a private mezuzah, should be checked twice in 7 years, which means every 3.5 years. Public mezuzahs should be checked every 25 years, twice in a yovel. And there's a story about one Artevon that was caught by the government in the times of the Roman regime, Shas Hashmad, and he was checking the mezuzahs in Shuk Ho'elyon Shel Tzipori. The police caught him, and he was hit with a sum of 1,000 zuz, about $6,000 today. What is Artevon? So Rashi explains, it could be a name of a person, or it could be a name of a job. And the Menachem Meishif Nefesh is Masbir, is Tolui, how is the Girsa in the Gemara? Artevon or Artevon Echot? If it's a job, we have to understand what type of job is being an Artevon. The Yerushalmi Peah, Perik Aleph Taf Dalet, brings the word Artevon, the name of the king of Persia, Artevon Melech Poras, and also a story with a mezuzah. In the times of Rabbi Yehuda Anossi, Artevon, the king of Persia, sent a present to the great Rabbi Rabbi Yehuda Anossi in Eretz Israel, who was very wealthy, and he sent them a precious stone, Margolies, a pearl. Rabbi Yehuda Anossi reciprocated, and he sent back to Artevon, the king of Persia, a piece of parchment written in it, Shema Yisrael, a mezuzah. How much does a mezuzah cost already? Artevon, the king of Persia, was hurt. He sent such a precious stone, and Rabbi Yehuda Anossi sent such a simple piece of parchment with handwritten words, Ukedai bizoyon vokotzef. But Rabbi Yehuda Anossi answered to Artevon, you send me something that is very valuable, and now I have to spend money in security. It should not be stolen from me. I send you something that is going to secure you and your kingdom. A mezuzah is a shmira. Of course, Rabbi Yehuda Anossi didn't have to have shomrim. He also had a mezuzah. But explain to the king of Poras of Persia that I send you something that's going to protect you. This is the Yerushalmi Peah. There are 4 questions that we have to address. We know a mezuzah has to be put on the doorway as close as possible to the outside of the house. And Rashi explains, this way the entire house is going to be protected with that mezuzah. But we know that a mezuzah is only a protection to the person who is mechuyev, who does the mitzvahs mezuzah. Does a goy have a mitzvahs mezuzah? Is a mezuzah going to protect a goy? Question number 2. May you give a mezuzah to a goy? In Shulchan Aruch Siman Resh Tzadik Aleph Siv Beis, the Ramo brings down B'Shem HaMaharil that you may not give a mezuzah to a goy, even if the goy asks you for a mezuzah to put in his own door. It's an isur. So the Achronim has a question on this Yerushalmi. What was the heter of Rabbi Yehuda Anossi to give Artevon, the king of Persia, a mezuzah? This is against the Halacha in Shulchan Aruch. Today, some Achronim want to say a very big hidush, that the Artevon in Peah is the same Artevon in Yoma. The king of Persia was the same person, Artevon, that was caught inspecting the mezuzahs of the streets of Tzipori. So he was Jewish. So Rabbi Yehuda Anossi sent him a mezuzah. But that's very hard to understand. How is it that the king of Persia should go to Tzipori to check mezuzahs? And he should be summoned and punished $6,000 for checking mezuzahs. Which king is going to go to Eretz Yisrael to check mezuzahs? And if that's the case, Rashi should have explained that Artevon is not a name of a person. Artevon is the famous Artevon, the king of Persia, brought in Masechta Peah. To understand this, we have to go into the sugya of Bedikas mezuzot. Why you have to inspect the mezuzahs? There are 3 reasons brought in the poskim. 2 al pi pshat and 1 al pi sod. Shulchan Aruch Siman Reish Tzadik Aleph, the first siman, mezuzahs yochid nivdekes pa'amayim b'sheva shonim. 2 reasons for it. And Rashi explains the 2 reasons are Shema nirkeva, Shema nigneva. Maybe the mezuzah was ruined, weather damaged, or maybe the mezuzah was tempered. or stolen. Nafkemina between these two reasons, if you have a place which is protected from the streets, and you know for sure that nobody stole the mezuzah, and you can see the mezuzah through a case, maybe you don't have to check the mezuzah. But you're still not sure that the mezuzah is not ruined. For that, you might have to check the mezuzah to make sure it was not ruined. That's why Rashi says two reasons why you have to check the mezuzahs. Then Kaf HaChaim brings down B'Shem Sefer Ruach Chaim, B'Shem Shivchei Arizal, that the B'dikas mezuzah has also a deeper meaning. Sometimes when a person does do non-kosher deeds in his home, and he creates angels that may hurt him. By checking the mezuzahs and reading the words of the mezuzah, it will purify and recharge the mezuzah so that the house should be pure from not such good angels. Similar to that, we find the Bach in Hilchos Ksivas Sefer Torah explains, when a person writes a letter in the Torah, he's supposed to say the words before he writes, and the reason for that, to combine the Torah Shebel Peh with Torah Shebechsav. His words go into the Ksav. In the Avnei Nezer, Yordei Yosim Shin Ayin Vov by Hilchos Sefer Torah, what to do with printed material that's not meant to read, but to proofreading. And he says over there that has no kedusha whatsoever and could be disposed b'derech kovot, just like tzitzis, and does not need genizo. Since it was printed and was not intended to be read, there's no Kedusha Chal until the person reads it and learns in it. And the Shulchan Aruch brings it down in Kedusha Hashem, Vov Hei. So the same thing when a person checks the mezuzah and he reads the words and he thinks Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, definitely he recharges the mezuzah with Kedusha. Perhaps with this we can explain the story of Artevon in Masechta Yoma. That truly Artevon was a Jewish king. Just like Daryovish was the son of Esther and he was the king of Persia, Artevon was also one of the Jewish kings in the times of Rabbi Yehuda Nossi in Persia. And Rabbi Yehuda Nossi wanted to be mekarev this Jewish king and explained to him how a mezuzah is a shmirah and you have to check it every 3.5 years for 3 different reasons. Shema nirkeva, shema nigneva, and to be mavriach the chitzoinim through hago'o, balpeh, and to be moishech kedusho into the oisios of the mezuzah every 3.5 years. And we could be meramez how the hago'o of the mezuzah brings a certain kedusha and clears up the room from machshova zoros and masim roim, and the house becomes clean after checking the mezuzah. From Agemore Masechta Brochos, the beginning of the second perek. Hoyo kore b'Torah, a person was reading the Torah. Behigia zman kriyas shema. He was reading Parsha Shema in the times of kriyas Shema in the morning. What night? Im kiven libo yotzo. If he had kavonas alev, then he's yotzo the mitzvahs kriyas Shema. The Gemara asks a kasha. Mitzvahs ein tzrichos kavona. What do you have to be mechaven? A person is yotze by just saying the words. The Gemara says, even according to the Man de Omer, mitzvahs ein tzrichos kavona. We have to teach. You have to say the words over here means im kiven libo likrois. If he has mechaven his heart to read. The Gemara says, what do you mean? He was reading. The Gemara says, hoche b'mayaskin, and we're talking about a sofer that is reading a sefer Torah or the mezuzah or the tefillin, lehagia, to make sure that the words are correct. Im kiven libo, and he has his kavonas alev, yotzo. Or like Tosa says, instead of saying the word mezuzas, he says mezuzois. But according to the Arizal, we can say a kavono shniya, that a sofer, when he's mechaven with his heart to be metaher the room by reading the mezuzah, yotzo, he makes sure that the ruach ra should go out of that room. The kedusha of dibur, Torah shebal peh, goes into the ksav, the same way the Bach says, the same way the Avnei Nezer says. And perhaps that's pshat in the Arizal that the Kaf HaChaim brings down, Mishem the Shivchei Ari. Also, we can bring a raya from the Hilchos Sirtut. That's lines that we make between the margins. The Rambam says, Tefillin don't need Sirtut because they're covered. Mezuzah does need Sirtut, even though it's covered. So the case of Mishnah as a kasha, why is Mezuzah different than Tefillin? Mezuzah does need Sirtut, and Tefillin does not need Sirtut. And he answers, Tefillin that is worn every single day for 12 hours a day do not need bdika, doesn't have to be checked. And the purpose of the Sirtut is to make beautiful the lines of the Torah that are being read. But since tefillin do not need to be read, does not need sirtut. Mashenken a mezuzah that needs to be read every 3.5 years, the mezuzah has to be beautiful even though it's covered. But for that time that the sofer takes it down, or the balabos to check the mezuzah, therefore it does need sirtut. So from hilchos sirtut, we know the hilchos bedika. With this we can say, the Gemara says in Masechet Shabbos, Daf Chobeis, the sugya from Chanukah, Harogil b'mezuzah zoche lediro noeh. That's a girsas harif. If somebody is rogil, what needs to be rogil in mezuzah? When he's rogil in the bedikas mezuzah, to check it every 3.5 years, and through that he's moshech through his hevel peh, kedusha, and hidur mezuzah. So we see from here part of the shmir of the mezuzah, like Rabbi Yehuda Nossi sent, Artevon melech poras, is the bedika, and that is also gorem hashros hakedusha. And we can say that Artevon listened to the words of Rabbi Yehuda Nossi, melech poras, and he decided to open up lishkas bedikas mezuzah in Tzipori. Tzipori was the place that Rabbi Yehuda Nossi lived, and that office was called Misrat Lishkas Artevon, on his name, and he paid for it. And minastam, people that work for that office and learn how to check mezuzahs, they were called Artevonim. That's what Rashi says, Al Shem Umnus. So we have both reasons, Al Shem Odom Echot, Al Shem Umnus. Artevon Echot is begematria Uman Bodek Mezuzah. Meseches Yoma Davyot Omud Aleph. Tonu Rabbanon. All the lishkos in the Beis Hamikdosh did not have mezuzah. Besides lishkas hapalhedrin or parhedrin, which was a dir lekohen gadol, and shar hanikanor, which was beth shar to the lishkas haparhedrin. And Rashi explains in the maskon of the sugya what is the reason that the lishkas haparhedrin have a mezuzah. Gezeiro shelo yomru kohen gadol bebeis ho'asurim. He is locked up in jail. The kohen gadol had to be for 7 days away from home. He cannot see his wife. He has to prepare for Yom Kippur or to make the poro adumo. We have to know, does a Jewish jail require a mezuzah? In Yoredeya Simen Reish Pei Bov, Pische Sheorim Os Nun Hei, brings clearly the Daza Poskim, the Beis Hillel, that a Jewish jail does require a mezuzah. If that is the case, we have to understand what is the Gezeiro Shelo Yoimru Kohen Godol Bebeis Huasurim. We put a mezuzah that it should not look like a jail. A jail needs a mezuzah. Secondly, the Masechta Nedorim Daf Lamed Beth Amud Aleph says that 365 days a year. Each one of these days, the Satan could be mekatrek and do trouble. Besides one day, Yom HaKippurim. And the Gemara says, Arsimen HaSoton is Begematrio Shin Samech Dalet, 364. Because one day he has no koach, no reshus, to be mekatreg, to criticize. He cannot accuse us. He has no koach lehastin, ein ran. In Pirkei Avos, in the 5th Perek, the Mishnah brings down 10 nisin, 10 miracles that we saw openly when he came to the Beth HaMikdosh in Yerushalayim. And one of the nisim that we saw, that the Kohen Gadol would not become Tomeh Yom Kippurim, because we know if the Kohen Gadol becomes Tomeh, he will not be able to do the Avodah. So the Sgan Kohen has to take over, or the Memuna to be second to the Kohen Gadol. And it was a nes that the Kohen Gadol never became Tomeh in Yom HaKippurim. What kind of nes is this? Asks Tosafos Yom Tov. The Kohen Gadol, kedei he should not see Keri, had many harchokos. He did not sleep the whole entire night, so he shouldn't have a problem of seminal emission. He didn't even wear shoes, so his feet should be always cold on stone floor. So what is the big deal, the big nes? There was no necessity of making such a nes, such a miracle. As saying somebody had a miracle, he did not fall out of his window because the windows were closed. Of course, that's not a miracle. So the Tosefes Yom Tov answers a very interesting tirutz. For that he brings an interesting machshovo, that even though the Yetzer Hora is not mekatrik in Yom Kippur, He tried with his best to be metameh, the Kohen Gadol, so he should not be able to do the avodah in Yom Kippur. And the ness was that he was defeated. It was a greatness. But this, again, is a problem with the Gemara Masechet Nedorim, that only 364 days the Yetzer Hara has power to be mekatrek. And in Yom Kippur, he has no power to be mekatrek. So what is the big ness that happened in Yom Kippurim? We can answer with the Or HaChaim HaKodosh in Parshas Es Hanan, in the Parsha of Mezuzah. He brings a Zohar HaKodosh that in front of the left side of the doorposts is a special malach that wants to be metame the person and to be machshir the person to do an avera. And there are 365 different malochim. Each day of the year, they changed. They have a new malach. And if not because of the mezuzah, there is a sakona that a person should be nichshal in an avera, which means a mezuzah is a filter, a purifier for each day of the year, 365 days, 24/7. With this Zohar HaKodosh, we have to ask, isn't this Zohar a stiro, a contradiction with the Gemara in Masechet Nedorim Daf Lamed Beth, that says over there that Hasotan is 364? So why is the Zohar say that 365 days there are mazikim, and each one of these mazikim are shluchim from the Yetzer Hara, and if not because of the mezuzah, a person would not be able to be protected. Even in Yom Kippur. The answer could be very simple. There are two dinim. There's a din in Kitruk, and there's a din on Mazik. Mazik, every single day, even in Yom Kippur, the Yetzer Hara has koach. A person could be nichshal in an aver on Yom Kippur. But a Kitruk, there's no Kitruk in Yom HaKippurim. Now this Mazik could hurt the Kohen Hagodol. Therefore, we put a mezuzah in the Lishkos HaParhedrin, or Parhedrin, and we write in the back of the mezuzah the Shakai, Shin Dalet and Yud. And the Zohar says, when he sees that Shem, he says his name, Shin Dalet, which means a mazik, and then sees the Yud, and he's Boreach, and he runs away. The Inyan of Beis Asurim, the Sforim HaKadoshim bring down, Shem Tebal Shem Tov, Melech Osur Barehotim, in Tehillim Kuf Zayin, Kavyoch, the Nitzuz HaKodesh from HaKodesh Baruch Hu, is in the hands of the mazikim. And Yoimiru Geule Asher Harsher Geolam Miyad Tzor. The interesting story with the Heilige Rizhiner, when he was sent to prison in Kiev, there was a conspiracy on him, and for 17 months he was in Tvisa, some say 18 months. Before he entered the prison room, he waited a few minutes, and he said he saw the room full of mazikim, and he was mispalel that the Apterov, the neshama of the Apterov, should come from Shamayim and should clear up the room, so he should be able to enter the room, clear room. Beth Asurim is a place full of mazikim. In Yom HaKippurim, there is a pachad from the chitzoinim, like the Toisves Yontef says. And the Yetzer Hara does not want that the Kohen Gadol do the avodah and to be mechaper on the averos that he worked so hard during the entire year. Comes Yom Kippur, everybody gets a free cleaning up job. So he tries to be metame the Kohen Gadol. He cannot be mekatrek, but he could be metame. For that reason, we put a mezuzah in his room. There are 365 mazikim, even a special mazik for Yom Kippur, and for that we have to have a mezuzah every single day. So if somebody gives the mezuzah a way to check it out, but the sofer, don't wait. Put it back as soon as possible.